Thank you, Katie. We'll move on to new business item C, set public hearing for East Galloway Drive Summit Street vacation resolution. We just need to set the public hearing regarding this for September 3rd at 7 p.m. That would be the first meeting in September, our first meeting in September. Is there any?
Tuesday, correct? Tuesday.
It would be Tuesday. Thank you, Councilman Sharp. It would be
Labor
the day after Labor Day.
So moved. Support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Soha, seconded by Councilman Beer, to set a public hearing for vacating East Galloway Drive and South 203 of Summit Street for September 3rd. That's Tuesday at 7 p.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we'll have a public hearing at that next meeting. We'll move on to new business item D, dial-a-ride transportation advertising policy. Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to ask the Sam Fry to come up. He's worked on the policy with the city attorney to get this in order. So I'll have Sam take this one.
Thank you, Dave, and Mayor and Council. What we have before you tonight is just a policy to establish a set of standards and procedures when it comes to implementing our dial-a-ride advertising program that would essentially, protect us from any or some legal liability that comes with navigating the territory of what is acceptable and unacceptable advertisement in a public transit system. So that's the policy. It was recommended by the city attorney to have council go ahead and approve that. That way we have that in place, and it offers the city staff that will be implementing this some direction and guidance.
Thank you, Sam. Any questions for Sam? Move to approve.
Support.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Zola, seconded by Councilman Morrissey, to adopt the attached dial-a-ride transportation advertising policy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we will move on to item letter E, Oprah certificate transfer. Sam.
Thank you, Mayor. So, as it was alluded to earlier in public comment, Marty Hubbard, who owns 42 Union Street, she filed, or basically they created a new LLC. All she is looking to do is go ahead and have our the resolution that provides for the Oprah transferred over to the new LLC. The LLC 42 Hillsdale shares common ownership with Creative Constructs Inc. So because a property transfer happened, we have to go ahead and basically submit a resolution to the state requesting that they transfer the certificate that was issued to Creative Constructs over to 42 Hillsdale LLC. So it would be no different than if somebody else had bought the property. Certificates can be transferred. In this case, the state is requiring a resolution for them to update their files. So this is basically an administrative change. This resolution would go to the state, they would update their files, they don't have to take any other action, but it needs to be done because that property is now under new ownership. A new LLC with same ownership.
Councilman Palladino.
When was the property transferred?
I think the property was transferred sometime towards the end of 21 or early 22.
Is there any requirement to pay the back taxes on the Oprah because the property wasn't transferred, or the Oprah wasn't transferred at the time of the property transfer?
So 42 Hillsdale LLC won't have the Oprah certificate in effect in their name until this transfer happens. So Creative Constructs Inc. had the certificate. It will transfer over to the new LLC. The certificate is in effect for a period of 12 years.
Right, I understand, but the company that had the certificate did not own the building.
No, the Creative Constructs had the certificate. They were the owners of the building. 42 Hillsdale LLC, property, the ownership of 42 Union Street was transferred to the new LLC. They're applying now to have that certificate transferred.
Right, so they didn't have the certificate for 2 years while they owned the property? What am I missing?
Well, In this case, that's correct in that there was a span where they did not have the certificate. So they're looking to have the certificate in place moving forward for the remainder of the years in which it's in duration, which is up until 2027.
Right. So is there any penalty? Is there any liability for not?
Well,
not
42
transferring the property?
Hillsdale LLC wouldn't have, when they filed their taxes for this property, they wouldn't have had the advantage of having this OPRA in place. So there's no penalty per se. You're talking about a penalty, but just simply 42 Hillsdale LLC wouldn't have received any tax relief for the 2 years that they owned the property without having an OPRA certificate for it.
Oh, so they paid the full amount during the past 2 years?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't think it said that, was it?
No, I don't think that distinction was made in there, but that's a good question. Yep.
Any more questions for Sam?
Move to approve the Oprah transfer.
Second.
Motion on the floor to adopt the attached resolution approving the transfer of a Oprah exemption certificate from Creative Constructs, Inc. to 42 Hillsdale LLC. And that was seconded by Councilman Wolfram. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we will move on. New business item F, Kiefer House Hotel LLC Oprah Resolution Amendment Request. Sam.
So this is another Oprah-related matter. This one involves the Kiefer House Hotel. They recently submitted a letter to the city of Hillsdale requesting that city council amend the resolution 3372. That's the resolution that was submitted to the state tax commission for them to get the Oprah certificate. The reason they're asking us to amend that is because they have a new project completion date. The project completion date that they've provided is December 31st of this year. The reason it's important to update this resolution is, once again, so the state tax commission has, proper updated paperwork on file. The risk in not amending it is that, at any point in time at their discretion, if the project wasn't finished, they could unilaterally, decide to revoke a certificate and city council wouldn't have any input. So this is a way to ensure that they have the updated, most accurate information on the project.
Any questions, Councilman Fear?
And Sam, I think Drew happened to say something about April 15th?
So we changed it again.
So I think that was related to a TIFA matter, perhaps. Drew is here, and we also do have Nick Fox from CL Real Estate. If you have some project-specific questions, maybe one of those gentlemen might be able to answer that.
Bring them
I
up.
don't know if you have any information to share.
Good evening.
Is the December 31st, 2024 gonna work for you, or do you need like to April, or?
The definitions that we were going off was substantial completion. So that's the construction. So the construction would be done by the 31st, but then we turn it over to operations, so it wouldn't be open for business. I think that's where the discussions with moving it to April. But construction, the targeted date is still end of the year.
Promise.
Just like I've been saying since the first day I got here,
Councilman Short?
I'm making it happen.
I put my neck in the news a while back when I said if it wasn't done by August, I would resign. Well, I'm turned out anyway, so if you want to recall me, folks, go ahead. But by the time you get it done, I've been in that building, and Cindy and I went in there and took a walk through, and it's come a long ways. But you have to understand, when you're doing construction on an old building, you're tearing out walls and stuff, you don't know what you're gonna run into. When you build, like when the college builds their hotel, they're not gonna face the nightmare that you guys have been through.
Right.
You're gonna create jobs when this is done. It's gonna be more jobs, we're gonna have more jobs in Hillsdale when those two projects are done then I don't know where we're gonna put the people to go fill these jobs. But it's a good thing to worry about. It's just like the parking lots, when we say, when this done, where are they gonna park? That's a great thing to worry about. It's showing growth. If we didn't do this, and we just turned around and revoked this, then the building's just gonna go to waste. And I don't wanna see that. We've gotten this far. It's just frustrating. Last year, I think it was last year, you came and talked to us and you told us August.
I did.
And even then, I'm looking at, Adam and I both kind of look at each other, really? And Adam, I don't believe it, and I'm thinking, I'm a dreamer. And,
We've had our issues.
oh yes, you have, I've seen it, so.
But we haven't and we won't stop.
Oh, wait, that's one thing that's been going on, compared to what we went through out 221 Industrial Drive, when we were getting a song and dance all the time, you actually did, you have people working there. And that's the biggest thing, because I've always gone by out and checked, and I know the mayor works next door, so he's watching too. And if it stops even for a week, I'm gonna know, and I'm gonna come down there screaming. I appreciate what you guys do, and you still got a lot of work ahead of you.
We do.
And it's gonna be a benefit to the community, and it is historical value there. There is history in that building. Not all good, but there is history there. And George Washington did not sleep there either, so. But it's gotta be done.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councilman Morrissey?
Yeah, just picking up on what Councilman Sharp just said. There's a difference between the core coil project and this one, in the sense that the core coil owner refused to let us see certain parts of the building, and also stipulated that we would have a non-disclosure agreement so that we couldn't discuss the things that he wasn't going to let us see. Whereas in this case, Mr. Fox has been very open in allowing us to see whatever we want to see. The only thing we couldn't see would be things that were actually dangerous for us to enter. So it's really between night and day between the two attitudes of CL versus the other one.
Councilman Wolfram?
Could you tell us what would have happened had we discussed this?
Oh.
Had Tifa not bought this building and
Last Monday at the walkthrough, we were having a conversation of what would have happened if this project didn't go forward. And the condition of that building would have physically imploded. Like the walls, the floors were so bowed and the floors were holding the outside walls out. If it would have gone probably 6 months to another year of no work, no TLC or anything, those floors would have continued to drop and your exterior walls would have just come in. It was in bad shape.
All you have to do is go down and look at St. Anthony Church and look at the vacant lot over there. That building was falling.
Yeah.
It was collapsing. And it definitely would have happened at Kiefer too.
I fully agree.
Councilman Salah?
Thank you, Gary, for bringing that up. To that point, Mr. Mackey, could you remind us, do you know off the top of your head approximately how much it cost the city to demolish those buildings next to St. Anthony's?
It was a little over 100,000, I believe.
Okay, and so the Kiefer House is a significantly larger building, and that would have been a tremendous drain on the city's finances if the building would have needed to be destroyed. So I just want to voice my appreciation to council for your patience and perseverance with CL in getting this project completed, and congratulate you on your success thus far, and I look forward to celebrating with you when you open.
As a TIFA member, I'd like to add the Dawn to that list as well. That would have, the Dawn would have fallen as well. So we have two jewels downtown, it's beautiful.
Anybody else got anything? Councilman Palladino?
Is it a requirement that we set these project completion dates within a certain time frame when we initially approve the agreement?
I don't know the answer to that.
So when someone submits an application for an OPRA exemption, they have to provide a planned date of completion on there. that in turn becomes part of the resolution that the local government unit has to adopt for the state tax commission to grant the certificate. So it is in fact a condition of the certificate, which is why if you have a project that goes beyond that date, if you want the certificate to continue, that's something that has to be updated so they can keep accurate information on file.
Okay, the statute doesn't require a specific time frame though. In theory, could you take the whole, what is this, a 12-year?
Well, this is 12 years, but I mean, you don't get the benefit of the Oprah until the project is done. So the
Understood.
longer the clock keeps ticking, the less actual, tax incentive this project gets.
Understood. There's somehow this idea though that goes around that they are benefiting by delaying the completion of the project. So what I want to say is that in the future, if we're going to enter into contracts like this, projects like this, let's be very liberal with the project completion date. If they tell us 2 years, and there's no harm in giving them 6, right? They're getting the tax abatement for 12 years regardless, and then they complete it in 5, everyone gets to applaud them. It's not good, I think, for community trust when we're doing this on a yearly basis, especially because on a project like this, you can simply make you can make a simple public good argument, right? There are externalities. There's a threat to the health and life and property of adjacent business owners. There's a huge demolition cost to the city. So we don't need to make the argument that this is going to be an economic boon to the city or anything like this. We're simply protecting ourselves from demolition costs and from a building falling on someone else's building or on someone's head, God forbid. So the extensions are sort of chipping away at public trust, and I don't think we need to do that. We can simply make the argument, give a generous term length, and sort of watch things unfold from there. And from the perspective of investment, I would like to see in the long run, would these people have been better off if they just threw this money in an S&P 500 index fund? Like, is this really some sort of payout to anybody? It would be good to sort of lay those things out for the public so we don't get these discussions that the council is somehow giving away all of its resources to private developers.
So I do want to make one comment, and it does, kind of answer your question about the project completion date. So that's not something that the city determines at the onset. The developer has to set that for themselves, and it's based on when they want this certificate to go into effect. So yeah, in some cases it might be in the interest of the developer to, have a ample period of time to complete the project, but I think it also depends on the difficulty of the projects and what you end up getting into. But yeah.
I'll also briefly add, when we have these negotiations, there should be something tangible attached to these dates. This is just ad hoc, we're extending it, and I understand it is far different from cork oil. Not the same at all, because cork oil there's not really an externalities cost there. That is economic development, pure and simply. It's not a danger to anyone if that building isn't redeveloped. But this is different. But if they come with us and say 2 years, we need to have something in the contract to begin with. Okay, we'll give you the 3rd year, but you have to pay 2% of the back taxes. Could we do something like that where if they're going to give us deadlines, we have something that is actually concrete and enforceable?
I don't know if the Oprah statute gives the city the authority to do that. Something we could look into. I guess it wouldn't hurt, but I don't know that we have the authority.
Tom, did you have an answer to that?
I believe the answer to that is no. And there is one thing to think about in terms of completion date, which is sort of what you ran into with cork oil. And the one thing that the completion date does do, and I know you're talking about the way it looks to people when people come asking for an extension, but they're asking for an extension because at that point in time, it could be terminated. And there may be valid reasons why you want to do that. So if you extend out the completion date too far, while it's true that maybe if it really does take them that long to get the project completed, and well, they're just not getting the benefit of the tax break, There may be other reasons, like building's gonna fall down, right? And they're not doing any work. So that you might run into that circumstance like the building that was down here, where if you had given them that tax break, and in effect, that in a way is what had happened, they were getting a hardship discharge, or a hardship exemption every year on their property taxes from the county treasurer back then. And the outfit that owned it, at the time that it was finally determined that this thing needs to be condemned, it needs to go down, because I was involved with the district court action on that property. The amount that they owed in back taxes to the county was more than the building was worth. So, you know, when you get that exemption, it's just a deferral. At some point, you gotta pay those taxes, and it just kept building and building and building. So you can run into some of those unintended consequences that actually make the problem that you're trying to cure more likely to occur. So that's one of the things you need to keep in mind on a project by project basis if you do want to look at it that way.
Could we include provisions that say things like, this will be automatically revoked if it is condemned? Or, you know, could we write those things in so that we have more objective standards to judge the extension or revoking of these certificates?
I think you're agreeing, you have to remember that these are done by statute, right? So the state says the terms upon which you can grant these or not. So to a degree, you're restricted by that. My only comment was with respect to being careful with those dates to push it out, because you don't want to push it out so far that you don't have any ability to come back and say, because if nothing else, the fact that it's taking them that long to do it, things may have changed, and maybe you have somebody else who's interested in actually doing something with it when you had, instead of somebody else who's sitting on it.
So the only way we can revoke it is a lapsed project completion date, or can we put other standards in there?
If they are standards that are permitted by the statute,
so that
in
will-
your agreement,
okay.
because you actually literally have an agreement, and if they're in there, then, and they violate any of those provisions, then yes, so you have other opportunities to be able to ask them to be revoked.
Okay, so then the basic point I guess I'm making is objective standards rather than timeframes, I think would be better for public trust and for appearances, frankly speaking.
Sounds good. I guess, everybody's had a chance to say something, right? I'm gonna be the only no vote, and I'll tell you why, Nick.
I know.
Because I voted no against it last year, and it's not done. But
Agreed.
I wasn't nice last year, and I have no reason not to be nice this year, because you have been a man of honor, and you guys have been over there busting your butts. You've come a long way. It's all I ever wanted in the first place, but I think for consistency's purposes, because of what Josh just mentioned about the public trust, I have to vote no on it. But I don't know if I can say this and get it across that I am in your guys' corner. And I look forward to the completion of it. I believe you when you say that it's gonna get done. Hopefully it'll be December. I don't know if it will be December or not, but I know that you'll get it done because you're on the project now, and I've seen the sort of man you are, and I've seen you hold your employees' feet to the fire, and I've seen those guys over there busting their butt, and it's very appreciated. So,
Move to approve.
motion on the floor from Councilman Stuchel, seconded by Councilman Soha to approve the extension on the Oprah certificate transfer. Let's just do a roll call vote.
Okay, Councilperson Beer,
Yes.
Wolfram,
Yes.
Mayor Seifert,
No.
Councilperson Morrissey,
Yes.
Palladino,
Yes.
Pratt,
No.
Sharp,
Yes.
Soha,
Yes.
and Stuchel.
Yes.
We got 7 yes, 2 no, passes, resolution 3614.
Should we change the certificate?
I don't know.
The TIFA project completion date is the same.
Yes.
April 15th.
Yeah.
Was the TIFA agreement.
Opening.
Correct.
Yeah, so, this is construction.
December 31st is what we go over.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Alright. Good work though, I'm serious. Yep, let's get her done. Move on to new business item letter G, IBEW union contract.
And may I make a motion to make this a closed, council?
A second.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Stuchel to go into closed session, seconded by Councilman Sharp. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. City Attorney?
To go into closed session requires a roll call vote.
City Clerk, can I have a roll call
Nay. Mayor Stockford.
vote? Yes.
Morrissey,
Yes?
Calvino,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Sharp,
Yes.
Soha, Stuchel, Beard,
Yes.
and Wolfram.
Yes.
All approved.
Thank you, Katie. So folks in the public, we're going into a closed session for this union contract negotiation. I will let you know if you're still here in the building. If you're,
She's doing very well.
if you would like to come out and finish the council meeting, I'll let everybody know when we are going back into open session.